spots in the middle of this. But yes, thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here. And I wasn't going to share this, but I'm also very nervous to be here. This is my first public speaking engagement. I speak publicly all the time. I network constantly. I'm teaching classes all the time. But to have, 20 some odd people just staring at me, expecting me to change their life, it's a little intimidating. So I wrote this script. I didn't write that in about a week ago. And I practiced every day, first public speaking engagement, got to be prepared. And I thought yesterday, wait a second, I better practice this to a real audience. And who better than my 2 to 3-year-old son? So I sit him down, all right, buddy, inspiration time. I let him have it. I poured my heart out, so excited, pumped up. I asked him one of the questions that I was going to ask you guys tonight. And he looks up at me and puts his hands up and says, I don't really care. Okay, well, I met my first critic. We got that out of the way. So my only expectation for tonight is to do a little better than that. So I wasn't going to share that. The way I wanted to start tonight was just kind of finding some commonality in the room, some common ground between each and every one of us. And that's if you're here, if you're listening, you are on a fitness journey. We're all on a fitness journey together. Now, you might be at the beginning of your fitness journey, where maybe this is your first time stepping foot in a gym, or maybe you're right in the middle of your fitness journey, and you're an experienced athlete, or you just came back from a 2-hour session at the gym. Or maybe you're over here, in the place I respectfully call the rest and relaxation part of your fitness journey. I think we can all get a little familiar with that, the quarantine 15, binging Netflix, eating ice cream. I made my husband go out for a pregnancy test during that time because I was so convinced that my weight gain was not from laziness. No way. But I wanted to establish that we are all on a journey together. And it's not what we're talking about tonight, but I do want to just encourage you to encourage each other to work together towards the goals that we're trying to accomplish here. So I also want to use that as my segue to talk to you a little bit about my fitness journey, where it all started for me. Now, my fitness journey started when I was 3 years old. As a reward for going pee-pee and poo-poo on the potty, I got to go to dance class. And I milked that reward for years and years and years. I was a natural. I took every class I could get my hands on: ballet, tap, point, jazz, hip-hop, contemporary, modern. I loved it. I took master classes with celebrities like Travis Paul. I did master classes at Broadway Dance Center. Dance was my universe. And at the very center of that universe was my ballet class. And at the very center of that ballet class was my ballet instructor, Nancy Corey. Now, Nancy Corey had an extremely impressive resume. She was a teacher at the American Ballet Theater. She was a dancer at Jacob's Pillow in Massachusetts. Rumor has it she auditioned for New York City Ballet, which is unheard of. Nancy Corey was an amazing and inspirational person. And as much as she was an amazing and inspirational person, she was also the scariest person I've ever met in my life. She was extremely intimidating. And I want to put that in context for you. At 12 years old, she came into our dance studio, and after one of our very first classes with her, she lined us all up one by one and walked down the line, and just based off of our effort and our body type, pinpointed where we would end up in our dance career. Now, if you ever watch Dance Moms, you know that those moms did not appreciate that. They're sitting in their cars telling their kids, you can be anything you want to be. And here comes Nancy Corey waltzing in and saying, no, you can't. Yeah, that weeded out quite a bit of them. She single-handedly cut our studio in half between the disciplined dancers and the recreational sport dancers. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. But for myself, I'm kind of a nerd, and I rely on discipline and structure. So I decided to stay. But that's not the story that I'm here to talk about today. I do have a story involving Nancy Corey that hit me personally. I call it my defining moment, and I don't really know what it was about that particular class. It was only a few classes after the one I mentioned. But she was just on my case that day. She was telling me, your foot's not pointed enough, you're slouching, sit up straighter. Every minute, she was just calling out worrying that I'm correcting you. It's because I know that you can do better. You can imagine the breath of fresh air and the relief off my shoulders hearing that. Even at 12 years old, oh, okay, let's get back to class. We're good, I'm encouraged, let's go. But she wasn't done. She had more to say, but not to me. She continued to walk over to my dance partner, who was a notorious slacker, showed up because she had, she didn't want to be there, and his voice stopped, didn't even look at her. And she said, "It's when I stop correcting you that you need to be worried." Ouch. She said it to a 12-year-old. Stop worrying that I'm correcting you. It's when I stop correcting you that you need to be worried. That was my defining moment. And what did she mean by that, really? I mean, we were 12. You probably didn't understand full context, but I knew that what she said to me was something pretty good, and what she said to her was not so good. But what did it really mean? And we're going to get to that in a few minutes. First, I want to just step back into my dance career for just a second so we can press fast forward. I danced for 18 years. I was asked to come back as an instructor for 5. And once dance kind of took that full recreational shift, I stepped out of that career path and refocused my love for choreography into a love for choreographed fitness to build healthier and stronger communities. And you may have heard of it, Faith and Fitness. Started 7 years ago. Faith and Fitness was my dream. Like teenager sitting in a bay window when it's raining with a cup of hot chocolate batting her eyelashes. Dream. Where can I go with it? Motivational speaking, signing autographs, leading workshops. It was just a dream. But the problem is there was this dream and there was no foundation under it. I didn't understand my motivations and I couldn't comprehend the commitment. And so without that foundation, my dream just shattered. It meant nothing. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I've titled this discussion, Decide, Do, and Dream. Celebrities will be the first to tell you, dream big, shoot for the stars, but they don't give you the tools to get there. So that's why I'm here, just to give you a little inkling of inspiration to hopefully help you on your journey. So we're going to step into stage 1 over here, and that's decide, making the decision in this context to build a healthier life for yourself. And that means involving a commitment to yourself, but not just to yourself, making a commitment to a greater value than yourself, a greater purpose. And I'll redefine that as finding your why. What is your why? Why do you want to be healthier? And I can give you a few examples. Maybe you just got a call from the doctor and you've been diagnosed with diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol, and you need to make a life-saving decision. Or maybe your spouse is disabled and they fall, and you have to make sure you're strong enough to pick them up off the floor when they do. Or maybe your kids you're noticing are getting into some really bad habits, and they're not participating in sports and they're eating junk food, and you see that the scale's going up, and you're getting worried, and you need to be their inspiration and their motivation to do that. You need to be their role model. What is your why? Mark Potter spoke last night on mental illness, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Maybe that's your why. Maybe you've been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD, or bipolar, and you know the science behind it is that just that little bit of physical activity is going to significantly improve your quality of life. What is your why? I'll tell you my why. My why is for my mental, emotional, and spiritual stability. Because I'm going to tell you something. These bodies that we just exist in, they're just vessels. It's what we put into them that makes the difference. It makes us who we are. For instance, from a dietary standpoint, you could have the best looking vessel in the world. Ripped abs, triceps for days, glutes you could bounce a quarter off of. But if you're filling that vessel with cigarette smoke and alcohol and bad carbs and saturated fats, are you really going to achieve your goals? Are you really going to reach your potential? And over here, from a spiritual standpoint, best looking vessel in the world, you're eating all the right things, but what if you're filling your mind and your soul with negativity and toxicity and bad relationships and discouragement and hopelessness? Are you really going to achieve your goals? And are you really going to reach your full potential? That's my why, and I really hope that you guys can figure out yours. I'm happy to help you along that process if you need it. So now that we've discussed the decision, decide, making the commitment, choosing your why, we've set up our foundation to move on to the next step, stage 2, which is do. That's your action, your show up, your go to the gym, your put in the effort. You know, in the fitness industry, one of the biggest cliches, and the truest, is that the hardest part of going to the gym is going to the gym. And as a fitness instructor, I can assure you I've probably heard every excuse under the sun as to why people don't go to the gym. It's too expensive to go to the gym. I'm too busy to go to the gym. My kids' schedules are too crazy to go to the gym. I am too tired to go to the gym. I'm too sick. I'm too injured. And let me say something else. Every single one of those reasons is legitimate and innocent. But the minute you let that reason stop you from making healthy choices, it becomes an excuse. And I don't know who's here who needs to hear that again, but I'm going to say it. The minute you let your reason stop you from making healthy choices is when it becomes nothing but an excuse. Stop making excuses. That's another cliche, but it couldn't be more true. Stop making excuses. Just like I've heard it all, I've also seen it all. I've seen my client who just got diagnosed with lung cancer walk on the treadmill. And I've seen my friend who became a paraplegic in high school doing laps of ramps in parking lots, rolling back down and going back up again in her wheelchair. I've seen the mom of 4, who's a CEO of a huge company, doing squats on her lunch break with a sandwich in her hand. I've seen my friends who live in low-income housing go on walks together, pull up YouTube videos, free resources, doing the work. Stop making excuses. There's too many resources out there. I'm one of them. Let me help you through that. So now, we built our foundation. We made our decision. That's the mind commitment. And we're doing the work. That's the physical commitment. Now, we're set up for success to achieve those dreams. How do you do that? That's not why I'm here. Where's the self-help book? Where's the 3-step process to achieving your dreams? I can only give you one piece of advice. We're going to step back in the 12-year-old Hannah's dance world and revisit what Nancy Gorey said. And that was, stop worrying that I'm correcting you, and start worrying when I stop. What she meant in that sentence was that there's no such thing as perfect. Debunked. There's no such thing as good enough. Debunked. There's no finish line. It's never going to be good enough that you did 10 push-ups. It's time to go back the next day and do 11. Or if your goal is an experienced athlete to do 5 sets of 50 pounds and you hit it, you don't just walk away for the rest of your life. Okay, I did it. No, you go back and you do your 6th set. There's no such thing as perfect. And celebrities will say it all the time. Influencers will say it all the time. You're perfect just the way you are. Now you may be beautiful, I can stand by that. Each and every one of you may be beautiful just the way you are. But perfect? That's a stretch. Because I'm pretty sure I just proved that there is no such thing as perfect. We should always be striving to be something better. I made the decision when I was 12 years old to not settle for who I am, but to strive to be the best version of myself I could possibly be. Don't settle for who you are. Strive to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. And that is how you're going to achieve those goals. Now, I want to take these last few minutes to talk to you about my dream. So my dream, as I mentioned, started 7 years ago. Faith and fitness and crumbled. But I stand here today, revitalized and ready, because I made a decision. My why with faith and fitness is because I love the people of Newton, and I love the community here, and I want to see you guys succeed in life, in fitness, however. And I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. So now I'm putting in the work. I offer donation classes where I can, and the lowest rate that I can elsewhere. I meet with every single one of my clients one-on-one after every single class, whether in person or through Facebook or through text message, just to make sure you're doing okay. And that's intentional. I'm doing the work. I've set myself up a beautiful foundation for my dream. And my dream is not just to have a fitness community here in Newton, it's to have a faith-based fitness community here in Newton. Because I have to tell you something that's hard to hear. Those hard truth. Your kids, who you maybe are trying to get better influence for, they are going to grow up. Hopefully move out. So those rides, they don't come with guarantees. So when they leave your life and you're left alone with no more purpose, then what's the point? Let alone fitness. What's the point of any of this? And that's where the faith-based approach comes in. The faith-based approach to fitness gives you an infinite amount of purpose because you're believing in something greater than yourself and greater than your surroundings. And that's not just for fitness. The faith-based approach to anything in life gives you an infinite amount of purpose because you're believing in something greater than the limited you and your limited surroundings. That's my dream. Thank you guys for